Welcome everyone to another edition of Unleash Your Creativity, which is a blending of nonviolent communication and the artist's way, two of the most powerful transformational technologies that I have ever encountered. I'm Yvonne Davis, and this is David Steele of the Rocky Mountain Compassionate Communication Network. And if you're interested in learning about us, click on the link below to the Rocky Mountain Compassionate Communication Network and find out who we are and what we do. Well, today we are going to be talking about something called Unbending Intent. And this is for week 3, recovering a sense of power. So we're going to talk about a couple of concepts that I came across in the works of Carlos Castaneda and the warrior teachings of Don Juan Matus. He talks about unbending intent and acts of power. So I just want to read something to you very quickly. He said, Don Juan taught Carlos Castaneda that unbending intent is a special state of mind requiring a rigorous, fierce purpose. So we're going to talk about what does that mean. Castaneda summed up the teaching this way. Impeccability, which we will also discuss, begins with a single act that has to be deliberate, precise, and sustained. If that act is repeated long enough, one acquires a sense of unbending intent, which can be applied to anything else. If that is accomplished, the road is clear. One thing will lead to another until the warrior realizes his full potential. Two basic qualities of warriors are sustained effort and unbending intent. The key is to make a decision about what your fierce purpose is and then commit to it with unbending intent. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here. Do you want to jump in at this point, or do you want me to?
Why is this topic important to you? Why does it call to you? Because you've talked about unbending intent many times.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, David and I have, you don't see all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Our day 2 video, which was called Creativity is Messy or Process, Not Product, showed a little bit of what we have struggled with in making these videos. And most of it you don't see, and you know why you don't see it? It's because it never gets recorded. You cannot imagine how many times we have sat down and recorded this fabulous video and then realized, oh my gosh, somehow the button didn't get clicked properly and we didn't record a single word of all the brilliant, fabulous things we had to say to you.
I wouldn't say that happens most of the time. I would say that happens some of the time.
Yeah, I didn't say most of the time. I said...
You said most of what we record doesn't get recorded.
Okay.
And maybe that's not what you said.
All right.
But anyhow, that's what I just said.
Okay.
That's what I just said.
Well, the nice thing is this time it is actually recording, so I can go back and see if I said that.
Recording to our local computer.
The point
That's a choice we have.
The point is that it is exhausting to do something over and over and over again, especially when you have in your mind that it's supposed to be easy, which is the story I have in my own head. It's supposed to be easy. So why isn't it easy? So when it's not easy, then, you know, naturally someone wants to throw a temper tantrum.
That's why it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because of the story in our heads.
Yeah, about the way it should be.
And then it's not that way. But that's a different topic for a different time.
It's not, because the reason why I want
What do you mean it's not?
Okay, David.
You want to talk about unbending intent?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And okay, this is a perfect example. We want the road to be smooth and go in the same direction.
Oh, I
we
love
want to go
smooth
yeah.
and goes in the same direction.
Yeah, and it's easy, and you just turn the ignition and you make the car go.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody gets in your way, or something gets in your way, or it doesn't work out right.
And I got to behave myself.
You just want to give up, don't you? Yeah, sometimes you do. And that's why I'm talking about unbending intent. That's how the story of my little temper tantrums when it doesn't work out actually does lead us back to unbending intent. Because we do have a choice. If we want to go somewhere and we're having trouble getting there, we can choose to give up if we want to. But we can make another choice, and that's what I call the choice of the warrior, to have unbending intent and to be impeccable. You want to say something about that?
Yes. So, and when I want to say something, it's about that word choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I forget who the famous philosopher that said this was, which is at any given moment, we have a choice. We can step towards the darkness or we can step towards the light. But then when we step towards the light and take a step towards the light, and then we look back at the darkness, we realize there's no going back. So really there's no choice. Mm-hmm. We have to move towards the light once we notice that it's there. Mm-hmm. And so I would say it's not that we have a choice, it's that how we can eloquently or effectively support ourselves in the irrevocable direction. When someone makes a bid for freedom, since you're using Castaneda language, when someone makes a bid for freedom, when someone realizes that their old life doesn't fit and they yearn for something different and makes a commitment that they're going to bring that to pass, there's no going back. And so how do we support that initial decision? How do we support that journey? Because it can be a roller coaster, it can be full of drama. And that's what unbending intent is all about. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to say more?
Well, I think I want to talk
at this moment.
Yeah, I just want to touch in again, because you may still be asking yourself, what is unbending intent? And like I said, Castaneda defined it as a rigorous, fierce purpose in which you choose a single act and you repeat it deliberately. So as an example, and what we call that in the warrior teachings is an act of power. So it's not about how, useful is this act? Is it going to be productive? Is it going to make me some money? Is it going to make me beautiful? Make everybody fall in love with me? And all the things that people want. That's not the purpose of an act of power or unbending intent. The purpose is to simply build a warrior state of consciousness, a warrior's attitude, which is the understanding that your acts do have power, your words do have power. For a warrior, when a warrior says something, something will happen. Their words have power. When they make a statement, something will come manifest from that statement. And Don Juan said, for the average person, their words have no power. Their words have no meaning because they can simply change their minds. If they don't like it, if they don't like how things are going, they can just change their minds. And, so their words have no power. But so you ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be someone whose acts and words have power or not? And I do think we get to make the choice on some level. And that is the purpose of unbending intent, to choose one single act and to repeat it every day deliberately. And so we have made this choice. I made the choice. I don't know if David committed to it, but I committed to it, that I am going to do this program in which I am teaching the artist's way. I'm going through it every single day, and my intention is to do a video every single day for 12 weeks. That's 84 videos. So that's my unbending intent. And each time I take the action, it's an act of power. And yes, I do run into many, many obstacles along the way, both internal and external. And I have to make a choice each time. And it's not that we don't sometimes say, okay, that didn't go well, let's take a break. Let's try this again tomorrow. And sometimes that's necessary. It's called another teaching, which is a warrior retreats. A warrior knows when it's necessary to retreat and take care of oneself, give oneself the self-care that is needed in that moment to regenerate and come back and start over again. That's different than giving up. So I think I'll turn it over to you now and see what else you want to add about that.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the entry point with what I want to say. When we pick an act that we do every day, so in my case it's Tai Chi, and we do it every day and every day and every day and every day and every day. It has nothing to do with mood or inspiration. What that does is it creates a rhythm like a heartbeat. The rhythm of the heartbeat is really critical to our well-being. If the heart does not beat properly, we go to the hospital if we can survive that long. And so that underlying rhythm is really important to creating something, to persisting in something. So unbending intent is really about creating that rhythm that's always there, that's consistently present. And it builds in us, in my opinion, a sort of a fortitude, so that when things are discombobulated, there's still a consistency that we can rely on. And it cultivates an inner discipline. Often when we talk about discipline, we think of something as imposed from without to force us to behave in a certain way. However, to really persist in accomplishing stuff takes a different kind of discipline, which is the ability to take a step every day in the direction that you want to head. Every day. And if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So there was a story about, I think it's Pinchas Zukerman, the famous violinist. And he practices his violin every day. He's one of the best violinists in the world. And so he has to practice every day. He said, if I miss a day of practice, I notice. But no one else can tell. If I miss 2 days of practice, I notice and my wife notices. And if I miss 3 days of practice, I can tell, my wife can tell, and also the orchestra conductor can tell. And if I miss 4 days of practice, some of the more astute musicians in the orchestra can tell. But I am the only one that can tell if I miss 1 day of practice. And so I am accountable to myself. I'm the only one that knows when I am working at my peak, when I am being in integrity, when I am showing commitment to the stuff that I care about. And that's what unbending intent gives you, is that commitment. And it's, practice can be pretty boring and repetitious. and yet it gives us a freedom. Just like when I studied Tai Chi, when I learned Tai Chi, the Tai Chi form itself is very, very precise. Your body goes into very specific postures, very specific motions, and yet it is incredibly liberating because the balance and the agility that it produces allows you to really improvise with motion in a way that I find very, very profound. And so that rigor, that structure actually produces a freedom and an expansiveness. Mm-hmm. So that's my take on unbending intent. Fierce purpose is what helps us endure the boredom.
Or the fear.
Or the fear. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of unbending intent, it has to do more with boredom than it does with fear, maybe with fear. It helps us get through the repetition. It helps remind us why we're doing stuff. And the act of power, the unbending intent, doesn't necessarily linearly in a direct line lead to what we're creating, but what it does is it develops within us the fortitude, the resilience, that heartbeat rhythm, so that no matter what happens, we can move in the direction of our aspirations.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's important to consider, that it's not so much about this idea of destination or product as much as it is really taking this journey, being in the process. So that's, I think, what each act of power is. That's what unbending intent is. That's what having a rigorous, fierce purpose is.
Yeah. And that reminds me that we sent an intent somewhat as a request to make some shorter videos.
Yeah.
So I think this is a shorter video. I'm thinking maybe I'm feeling like let's just try it and see how it runs as a short video.
Okay.
And then we may still do longer ones, but I kind of like the punch.
Okay. Yes, that does feel like a good stopping place. So we will say goodbye to today. And
goodbye to you today.
And request that you hit subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Click like on this video and add your comments below. We will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.